Do you need to take that?
It's my set builder. He's just asking me some questions, so that's why I put it on silent in case I have to answer it.
Hey guys, Alex and Dan from 7th Hour Films back again with Doctor Who Classic. Last time around we had the twin dilemma. What was that one?
Well, the twins literally had very little to do with the entire show, but they were kidnapped by someone who turned out to be a rogue Time Lord on his last regeneration, and they were needed because they were mathematical geniuses, and they were going to steal a planet.
Yeah.
For the Slugman, the Jabba the Hutt type, caterpillar. And the Doctor kept swinging back and forth between, being happy and being, suicidal or homicidal or all those other sidles. It was kind of jumbled up. I mean, it was perfectly fine. Quite honestly, the best thing about it was the tagline at the very end of episode 4, where he said, "I'm the Doctor, whether you like it or not."
Oh yeah, which, I mean, it's bold. The whole episode was bold. It was bold and brash, or as most people would say, belongs in the trash. So... yeah, it was not
one of the best, but not one of the worst we've ever seen. We won't go into the worst ones we've seen. You've already told us you don't agree with us.
But it's pretty high up there, though. So, but we move on from that because we do want to give the Sixth Doctor a proper chance. So, second time's the charm. Because we have the beginning of season 22 with Attack of the Cybermen today. So that'll be good. And it's a two-parter with 44-minute episodes. So it's still the same length overall. Just means we'll only have one discussion between episodes. So, but yeah, hopefully it's better. Now, the Doctor has gotten over his regeneration mood swings, which is, those were swings and a half. So
swing and a miss.
Yeah. So hopefully, everything, will be a bit more fleshed out with the Sixth Doctor.
And didn't Perry say something about his abominable taste because the costume that he chose to wear is just bits and pieces of other costumes, it looks like?
Yeah, it's just like the worst choices of fabric you could ever commit to one jacket. It's pretty terrible. I don't know what the logic is in that, Like, because I feel like I've heard conflicting reports about why his jacket is so terrible, but I don't know. I'm not sure which one is which. I'm sure people will have already said in the comments of last episode, so... It is the first story of the season, so you can watch the full unedited reaction for free. Just head down in the description or into the pinned comments. There'll be a link there, and it'll take you to my Patreon page where you can watch the full unedited reaction. We're watching the episode on BritBox Amazon. I guess, it'll probably work if you have it on regular BritBox, or I'm pretty sure it's on BBC iPlayer if you're brave enough to use that. Or there are other ways, I'm sure, but, you didn't hear that from me. So all you have to do is hit play on the full video, and then there'll be a count in 3, 2, 1. You hit play on part 1 and part 2. Well, part 1 when you're doing part 1, part 2 when you're doing part 2. And it should line up, hopefully well. And hopefully this is a good episode, so it's worth it.
Well, it's got the Cybermen in it, so...
Yeah. It should be something. That should already make it more interesting than Big Slug Man. So, because that was the thing. If it didn't have the whole, temper tantrums or the mood swings or whatever that the Doctor was going through, it was still a boring episode. But it was just a boring episode. Combining both of those is like combining all of that fabric into his jacket. It just doesn't work. So, hopefully it'll work out. So... Anywho, you got anything else?
I got nothing. You may see me occasionally checking my phone here. We started rehearsals for I Hate Hamlet by Paul Rudnick, which opens on February 2nd. And my set builder is currently down at the theater building the set, and he's texting me about how wide certain openings should be and all that sort of thing. So I've got it on silent, but if I notice something, you may see me pick it up.
So if he's more forgetful about this story than usual, then you have a thing to blame it on. So
if you've never seen I Hate Hamlet, it's very, very funny.
So, with that, we might as well just jump right into this episode of Doctor Who Classic.
We forgot to say this, or I forgot to say it. The elements of his Doctor is very similar to the part that he played earlier when he was the Castellan, or whatever he was, the Vanguard on Gallifrey.
No.
Paula Moore, have we seen her yet?
I don't know.
Doesn't sound familiar.
What are you doing?
Something I should have done a long time ago. Repair the chameleon circuit.
What?
The TARDIS, when working properly, is capable of many amazing things. Not unlike myself. One of its functions
Turn
is
that up
to
just a
change
little.
shape to blend perfectly with its surrounding environment.
I see.
Not yet, you don't. I wonder why I didn't do it before.
Look, Doctor.
You didn't have the budget to do it before.
I mean, what I really mean to say is you still seem a little unstable.
Unstable? 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 This is me, Perry. At this very moment, I am as stable as you will ever see me.
That ain't good.
Eh.
How I used to, man of science, temperament, and passion.
And a very loud voice.
Yes. Yes, that too. But not unstable. This is the real me. Don't be afraid. I won't hurt you. I promise.
It's not... See, it's not that you're unstable, it's just that you're a little much.
Obnoxious.
Yeah.
To rest.
Rest? Nonsense.
But with a heart of gold.
Rest is for the weary. Sleep
Two of them,
is for
even.
the dead.
There we are, gentlemen. Inside that building is £10 million in diamonds. We're not going back to the flat. We're doing the job today.
That's all of a sudden, isn't it?
You had something else planned.
No, it's just that I was expecting a bit more notice.
We go today. Without fail.
But how are you going to carry 10 million pounds? That's so heavy.
He's joking, of course.
Oh, yeah.
What are we doing here?
It may come as a great disappointment to you, but I don't intend to enter the bank guns blazing in my face covered in a nylon stocking.
Oh, he's allergic to nylon. No, I'm not.
We go in via the sewers.
Sewers?
Crafty. Oh, I used to use one of these when I worked for the council.
This time it's for swinging, not leaning on.
Oh, it's Totter's Lane. It's the old junkyard.
This looks familiar.
Oh, neat, Doctor.
Neat.
Very neat. I mean, there's nothing at all incongruous about that.
Well, she hasn't done it for a long time. She's out of practice.
Of course, Doctor.
Honestly, a police box in a scrapyard would make sense.
In the past couple of days, you've called me Tegan, Zoe, Susan. On one occasion, you even referred to me as Jamie.
Merely slips of the tongue.
I'd rather
That's similar
think they're
hair.
slips of the... Nowhere.
Notice there's nobody on the streets.
Oh. Except the fuzz. They were on their way.
You look uncomfortable in that hole. Let me help you out.
Good job. Was this fight too hot for TV?
Even I couldn't miss from this range.
You gotta be scared. She's American. She knows how to use that.
Never do such a stupid thing again. I could have killed you.
Believe you. The bottom of that pit has been dug out. I think it leads to the sewers. Come on.
Sure, take the silencer off.
Harry,
Eh. It'd be a great reveal if it wasn't in the
Your
title.
prisoners.
Yes, you're absolutely right. First, let's find some hard evidence.
You've got plenty here. What more do you want?
I like that they're just collecting
The
guns.
police will be more
The cyber controller can decide their fate.
Thank you, leader. Where will I have the honor of meeting him?
If you know about activities, you will know where he is.
I assume he's still on the planet Telos.
He is.
You'd think he was the cyber leader because he's got the black frame.
Yeah.
Oh!
Grab the head!
Get another head! These guys are like, we're not part of this.
You know, Griffiths, when I look at you, I often wonder why our ancestors bothered to climb out of the primordial slime.
That sounds like another insult, Mr. Lytton.
We told you all we know.
Which is more than you have. Who are you?
Police,
Can you prove that?
get your hands back on the wall.
Oh, heavy gun! Sorry about that. But we weren't getting very far with me playing protec with the wall.
Well, to his credit, he can fight.
I've already told you, I am known as the Doctor. I'm also a Time Lord from the planet Gallifrey in the constellation of Castorberus.
You're bonkers.
That's debatable.
Yeah.
But I'm also telling the...
I'm here to observe the activities of a white male suspect known as Lytton.
Lytton. Tall, lean, dark, well-spoken, the sort of man who might shoot his mother just to keep his trigger finger supple.
It's a more colourful description, but it could be him.
Commander Lytton. Later the Dalek Task Force.
Dalek.
I should have guessed when we were attacked by those uniformed police.
Oh, that's why that guy looks
How
familiar.
do you get on him?
Oh, there was a...
Wow, that went right over my head.
So he was in the last Dalek episode?
Yeah. He was the leader of the Dalek troops.
As prisoner and escort, we might just get into cyber control.
I will not wear that thing.
You got a better idea? Then get started.
Doesn't it have a human head inside it?
Remains of it.
So it is. I've been expecting him to return. He calls himself the Doctor.
Excellent. He is an enemy of the cyber race. His capture will serve our turn. More so, the capture of his TARDIS.
Well, you'll never find it, luckily. Ooh. Wow, guns work. That like that.
Destroy her. Destroy her at once.
Alrighty.
All right, let me just say, we've seen Perry in, 3 episodes now?
This will be 4.
4. I don't know if it's because it's the new season, they took some time off between the last... Her voice seems to be a little bit higher pitched. It's kind of annoying.
Yeah, I can get that. Otherwise, certainly a better episode.
Although the pacing is kind of slow.
Yeah, I think that could be them trying to figure out the new format for the longer 2-parters. Because, normally, because it's just the 20 minutes-ish cliffhanger, 20 minutes, and so on. Like, I kind of see, 4 different spots where there could have been a cliffhanger, but they didn't, obviously. So, I can see it's they're just kind of adjusting to it. But otherwise, again, certainly a more interesting episode, just having the Cybermen there.
Yeah.
And then, a much better performance of the Doctor, definitely. Yeah. So, like, I can see where they're trying to go with him.
Yeah.
So, I'm just glad we're done with the strange mood swings and everything. He's a little high maintenance, but otherwise he's still pretty good.
Yeah. Now, again, whereas Tom Baker and in his last season, Peter Davison were very assertive, his assertiveness comes off rather snippy.
Yeah.
You know? And I'm sure, again, that's partly the actor. And I hate to say this, but because I know it's partially true about me, his normal resting face is he's almost got a scowl on his face at all times.
Oh yeah.
And that does not help. In a visual medium like television, you get a close-up on him and he's scowling. Even if he's talking very nicely, it presents a very different visual picture than what he's actually saying.
Oh yeah.
So again, I don't have any problems with the script. I do think they could have, and I like the idea that there were literally 3 separate stories going on, and they finally are bringing them all together. But again, the pacing seems, like you said, it may be because they're adjusting to the new format, but the pacing is a little bit slow. I think there were ways that they could have speeded that up. Not lost time. I mean, there could have been ways of going through the tunnels, just going a little bit faster, or whatever. It wasn't interminable. It wasn't as bad as some of the episodes of other Doctors that we've seen, but it could have used some better direction, in my opinion.
Oh yeah. Well, it's the ironic thing about his sort of resting face, because I think that resting face is exactly the face he has on this. Because I look back at some of these, and Tom Baker's got a big smile.
Yeah.
Peter Davison's got a good smile, and then you get to him, and he just looks miserable on there.
Yeah.
And it's so strange. And pretty much he's actually the first one where they stop smiling.
Yeah.
Which is weird. Like, they didn't have anyone else really smiling. Like, the closest is maybe Jodie, and Jodie's really not even giving a full smile. And I guess the only 2 that really are Tom Baker and Peter Davison, but I don't know. It's a strange thing, but I like noticed that recently. I was like, boy, he didn't look like he wants to be there, which is strange, especially because in the intro and outro, he's got this big old smile on his face. So, it's an interesting thing bringing back Lytton. I truly did not recognize him. I was not thinking of Resurrection of the Daleks. I think that was that's what it was called. That was interesting because I kept looking at him. I was like, either he looks familiar or he just has that face, that kind of face that looks familiar or something. But yeah, that's an interesting idea, bringing him back, especially in the first episode. That is like the same format as Resurrection of the Daleks. And then it's also interesting bringing back Telos, since that was where Tomb of the Cybermen took place, I'm pretty sure. So, yeah. This begs the question, why do you leave the door open?
It would be unfortunate if you were to be killed, but we should still have your TARDIS.
Not anymore, you don't.
Why is there a black Cyberman? Probably smells.
Bad news, very bad news.
Whatever in their wisdom the Time Lords decide, they will be too late. Telos will have been destroyed, and we shall have the Doctor's TARDIS.
You really can't bank on the Time Lords being, timely.
Mondas, the cyber planet was destroyed.
But tell them how it was destroyed.
You're enjoying this.
It's not often I have the opportunity to watch a Time Lord squirm.
It blew up.
Whilst it was attacking Earth.
What?
Tell them when.
1986.
Next year? That's almost now.
You could put it that way.
Well, you must do something. Inform Earth. Tell them it's coming. I mean, what's happening to us now must have something to do with it.
How can I do anything? I'm a prisoner.
Even if he were free, he couldn't. He would transgress the laws of time.
Continually.
Not to that extent. Even I have to be careful.
I'm confused.
So am I. I mean, how can a planet travel around? Off its orbit.
Mondas had a propulsion unit, tribute to cyber engineering. Though why they should want to push a planet through space, I've no idea.
You will come with me.
I didn't even think about the fact that we're catching up to the 10th planet episode.
Go with it.
What happened?
It's a little disagreement with our tin friends.
You look terrible.
Not half as bad as I feel.
We are about to materialize.
I like that her warmer outfit is just some sleeves and some pants, and nothing else. Cyber fight. What the heck? Oh, maybe they're the Cryons?
My name is Thrust. Welcome, Lytton.
Does she know who you are?
Of course. Lytton has come to help us.
Are you sure about that?
I'm sorry. I'm confused.
You must rest. Then we will talk.
Who are you?
My name is Ross. This is Mom.
I'm Perry. I'm from the planet Earth.
We know each other. We are Cryons. We no longer have a planet.
I do like the thick Sam Elliott mustaches they have, though.
You never were very bright. You should have killed her. Then I wouldn't need to be. Anyway, she can't use the information.
You know Lytton, don't you?
We do, child.
They look like a frozen version of the Sensorites.
Oh, yeah.
It'll also bring about a massive change in established history. The Time Lords would never allow it.
Who knows? Perhaps their agent is already at work.
If they are, they're taking their time about it. For a start, why... Wait a minute. No! No, not me! You haven't maneuvered me into this mess just so that I can get you out of it. It would have helped if I had known what was going on.
You are a Time Lord?
Yes. At the moment, a rather angry one.
You know what? To his credit, the Time Lords are just frustrating.
I'm melting. What a world. What a world.
Well, at least ooze didn't come out of her mouth and her nose. Oh, poor guy.
So body count in this one now.
Oh, yeah. Much better.
Emotion is a weakness.
I don't think so.
It brought you back for your friend, and it will cost you your life.
Ugh.
Killing them left and right.
Good shot.
Didn't go go very well, did it?
Earth's safe. So is history and the web of time.
I meant on a personal level. I don't think I've ever misjudged anybody quite as badly as I did Lytton.
To be fair, he was working for the Daleks the last time you saw him. I don't think this is on you, man, but the fact that he feels that way is a good sign that he's still the Doctor. So,
seriously, how many Cybermen and others ended up in the body count in this one?
We spent so much time on those two guys walking across Telos for nothing. And the poor man, he's going to get $2 million in diamonds. I mean, this is one of those, this is good 20 years ago. Like, it's not bad, honestly, like, watching it, like, I don't dislike it or anything, but it feels like something that was left over from, you know, that first, second Doctor era, you know? I don't know. It's good.
Yeah, I realized I had to get the Doctor and Perry off of Telos before it exploded. But I think we should have done something, or I've never misjudged anybody, would have been better right there with Lytton's body. Again, I would have tried to find some way of doing that and just showing the TARDIS disappearing before the whole big explosion.
Well, yeah.
And the Kryons said they would survive, but they didn't explain how.
No, I guess they just ducked out of there at the last possible second. I don't know. Maybe they got some old cold tunnels from before the Cybermen. Yeah. I don't know. So yeah, otherwise it's interesting. As a halfway follow-up to Resurrection of the Daleks, because this has Lytton, it's not as good as Resurrection of the Daleks, but again, it's at least a decent starting point. You know, if you cut out the Twin Dilemma and you had Caves of Androzani leading into this, it's still a good first episode.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, I'm not seeing why they felt the need to introduce him like that. Like you said, if the Twin Dilemma did not exist and he simply had regenerated and started this, he could have had a couple of not the complete, horrible mood swings that we watched in Twin Dilemma, but he could have, in the first episode here, the first 10 minutes of that episode, done a little bit of that before he finally settled down. So, that seems an odd choice by the producers to have done that.
I mean, the choice was because I imagine they didn't want... I don't know if there was much trouble going from Tom Baker to Peter Davison, but, because Tom Baker lasted so long, it was probably kind of difficult, when you wait so long and it's like, okay, well, do we even want to, continue watching this show when, he's not the Doctor anymore. He's this new young guy. So I kind of get the idea of, let's have another story that will get people, acquainted to this Doctor before we go on the break. The problem was just they clearly hadn't thought out what they wanted to do with the Doctor yet. And so it just became a horrible, mess of a story. Whereas, if you had started with this, because this one, I do still feel like takes some of the things from the Twin Dilemma, but fleshes it out. They clearly had, an extra year to think about what they wanted to do. And, I'm sure Colin Baker probably had, all that time to think of, what does he want out of this character? So it works out a bit more where it's like, yes, we still have the Doctor being kind of snippy and stuff, and, he's a bit more abrasive than previous Doctors, but at the same time, they sort of flesh it out, and it's not the weird regeneration sickness and choking Perry half to death. So, So at least, taking out the mood swings, and because especially just the fact that they did reference his regeneration, multiple times, you could honestly skip the twin dilemma, and I don't think you miss a thing.
Yeah.
Honestly, like with the exception, like the only things I guess you miss are, him seeing his new face and loving it, and then just the ending line. Like, I guess those are the only two things. They're not worth watching, the twin dilemma, but
now one of the things I do like about this, and this really is one of the very first times they've done this on this extent, and that is the callbacks to Resurrection of the Daleks and the callbacks to the 10th Planet.
Yeah.
It's like continuity. Somebody finally, how many seasons are we now? 22 seasons in, somebody thinking, hey, wait a minute. What if we were to take elements from stories we've done in the past and update them? This is, what year?
85.
85? Do you think they were influenced by Wrath of Khan, which didn't it come out in 84?
Maybe.
And I'm not saying that of course, there's absolutely nothing like that particular storyline.
Yeah.
But it does, the writers begin to say, hey, wait a minute. We have a 22-year history with this. What if we go back and look at some of these other elements and see what can we update, what can we bring into this new Doctor?
Yeah. Well, and it's an interesting thing, too, because with referencing the 10th Planet, it's like, oh, yeah, that was 1986, But it's not 1986 yet. So it almost, like, makes you wonder, are they maybe planning on continuing this at all? Of, we're going to have, it's like, it's the 10th planet, but another side of the 10th planet now following, the Doctor of that particular year, Yeah. That honestly, that does make me wish that in 2018 they had done an episode about Salamander and the 13th Doctor, because that would have just been funny. I think it also would be funny if they brought back Salamander and there would have been no explanation. It's just that he's now played by Jodie Whittaker as well. It's just, for some reason, whatever Doctor we have at the time is what Salamander looks like. There's no space reason. It's just what happens.
Yeah. And again, now we have the technology, because they did it as far back as Deep Space Nine, where they took characters from Deep Space Nine and actually edited them into that episode with, was it The Trouble with Tribbles?
Yeah.
Yeah. So now in the 2020s, we have the opportunity to actually go back and start putting these Doctors back into certain episodes. It's also kind of like what they did with Back to the Future Part 2, where Marty has to go back and stop Marty from doing all the stuff that Marty did.
Well, yeah. The only thing about that is, putting something modern into those old 60s episodes, that'd be a little difficult. You'd have to, although I could see if you could, get the same cameras and everything and sort of film like that, it would be weird, having it go from, dazzling 4K Super HD or whatever down to that old, black and white letterbox from the 60s, but that'd be funny. So, but anyway, but yeah, with Wrath of Khan, because Wrath of Khan is, it's an incredible movie. It's also slightly strange when you think about why Space Seed specifically was chosen. I mean, there's all the setup in Space Seed, for why you could go and revisit Khan. But it does kind of make you wonder, it's like, so how come they never went back to anything else that was in the original series for a movie? But I'm sure that goes into all, with the motion picture and how that turned out and everything. So yeah, it could be something similar, because with Doctor Who, they don't have to come back with a movie. The show's still going the same way it was 20 years ago. Yeah. So, yeah, you can follow up on something like that. So, and not only following up on the 10th planet, but also on Tomb of the Cybermen and multiple different things, you know?
Now, it strikes me, and again, it might be too expensive to do this, but you're talking about how you've got the letterbox, and now we're in whatever the wide aspect is. But we have computers and AI that could fill in those screens.
Yeah.
And the one thing I was hoping for here is that there would be some reference, even just a very small visual reference, to perhaps Colin Baker's TARDIS flying past another TARDIS where you look inside and there's a glimpse of a colorized William Hartnell.
Well, yeah. I mean, the only thing about that is that it's technically not the same year.
Yeah.
Because that's 1986. So, I don't know. It's also interesting just the whole thing of, they keep referencing Mondas because Mondas is still in existence, but they don't I don't know. See, I'm not sure what the Cybermen need the time machine for, because they're already at a point where they can change time. I guess they use the time machine to come to 1985 to eventually blow up the Earth, and because that was a whole weird thing in that episode where it's like Mondas was like a vampire planet that needed to feed on the Earth. That was a weird thing, but again, it's one of those this still feels like an episode that was written 20 years ago. So still good, yeah. But it's certainly better than when the Dalek episodes feel like they were written 20 years ago, in that they're just kind of boring. At least this was interesting.
Well, also the upgrade to the Cybermen.
Yeah.
They look way different from they did during the 10th planet.
Yeah.
And they have literally evolved ever since then, to the point where now, yes, you saw the one that had the black pipes, but then the controller had the smooth bump on his head or whatever that was.
Well, yeah.
So again, the one thing about the Cybermen that I still wish that they would have done is not make them speak so slowly and deliberately. I don't want to say it's too much like the Daleks, but you would think if they were enhanced humans, they could still have a mechanical voice and yet still talk much faster.
Well, yeah. They at least sound better than they used to when they were way too robotic.
Yeah.
And they still sound better than the Cryons in this episode. Cryons were weird. Those also felt like something. I mean, they kind of look like the Sensorite, but they feel like something from 20 years ago, where it's like, we're gonna put some crap on an actor and just kind of move your hands like Johnny Depp, and we'll see what works.
Well, I think all the Cryons were played by female actors, and some other species that we've seen, in the past 22 years had that very high voice that they used all the time.
Yeah, I mean, there's Alpha Centauri, there's the moth people in the Web Planet,
the Zarbies, or whoever the Menoptera were.
Yeah. So it's like it is very similar to that. Which I don't know, maybe because there was, I think one of the comments floated the idea that with the Sixth Doctor, they wanted to kind of get back to some of the grumpiness of the First Doctor, for better or for worse. And so maybe that's kind of the idea with the Cryons, and especially then bringing back the Cybermen and referencing Mondas and Telos and stuff. So
there's one thing about the grumpiness thing, though. To me, I'm not going to say this is universal. To me, grumpiness in an old man like William Hartnell is understandable. All right, you can go, okay, the guy's 400 and something odd years old. He looks old. You can kind of forgive his old man grandpa-ish attitude. When you put that kind of grumpiness into a young guy like this, it's really grating and annoying.
Oh yeah. Yeah, because it is. I mean, yeah, you're exactly right, because it's one of those things you look at Hartnell and you're just like, he's super old, you just kind of go with it, but it's like, but with Colin Baker, it's like he's too young, for that particular grumpiness, and especially too because it's not like the Fifth Doctor or any of the Doctors afterwards didn't have their grumpy moments, but it wasn't just grumpiness for the sake of grumpiness. There was always some sort of a reason. Like with the Fifth Doctor, he would be frustrated at Tegan or Turlough or Adric and sometimes Nyssa. Like there was always sort of a reason. Whereas with Colin Baker, it's just like he's grumpy. I don't know why. It's not like Perry has done anything to him.
Yeah.
I kind of get, being grumpy at Lytton. That's very reasonable, but Perry doesn't deserve any of the crap she is getting in these episodes.
Yeah. And Sylvester McCoy was, I haven't seen a whole lot of Sylvester McCoy, and he certainly doesn't look as old as Hartnell did, but you accept the grumpiness in him because, again, he's an older man. He's earned being grumpy. I've earned being grumpy. I'm an old man.
Yeah, and even and I don't remember too much in Remembrance of the Daleks, but because there is such a difference in age between him and Ace, it does kind of work of this sort of older mentor. Sometimes has his more serious, sometimes more grumpy moments, but also has his whimsical, interesting moments as well. So, I think it's also the difference of with John Pertwee, because with Pertwee, it was really different because his circumstance was different, because most of the time when he was frustrated, it was generally something about Unit, Yeah. And that wasn't really, he's, grumpy, he's an old man, or he's just being silly. It was always some, ideological problem that he was having with the Brigadier, or just the military, or the police in general. So,
or the government.
Yeah. And rarely was his frustration at Joe, I feel like.
Yeah.
So, I don't know.
That's not to say we're condemning this Doctor. We're just saying that from his beginning, he's got a long way to go to. And again, I don't know if the general public there in Great Britain at the time accepted him. If they said, "Hey, we'll wait and we'll see how he does." But again, because we're looking at this in a very time compressed way, he's kind of annoying. He's kind of grating.
Yeah. So, and still, at least this episode was just much better.
Oh, yeah.
And his showing, and once you get past some of the being frustrated at Perry for no reason, once the plot started getting going, he was very good as the Doctor. So, it's just some minor stuff now. It's not as bad as it was last time.
It's kind of weird that the whimsy was all about the TARDIS itself.
Yeah.
A pipe organ and whatever that pillar was the first time around.
I wonder what the decision was. Because, see, I do kind of remember someone saying, he fixed the chameleon circuit. The Sixth Doctor did. But it wasn't a thing, clearly, of they did it and there was backlash to it not being the police box. Because it all happened in the same story. So, I don't know. Maybe I want to know, what the idea was, or if they were just bored, or if they had, 20 extra bucks that they could... that they could dump on this. I don't know. But yeah, he fixed the chameleon circuit. But I like the idea that despite the fact that he fixed it, he doesn't like it changing so much now.
TARDIS doesn't like it either. Apparently she likes being the police box.
That could also be it, that he fixed it and the TARDIS just changed to, specific things that would frustrate him. It's well, here's this, big cabinet thing. How do you get in? Here's a pipe organ. How do you get in, So, so that could totally be it. And Perry even points out that, it's very difficult to control the TARDIS. Even the Doctor can't really do it that well. So, need some water. You ever have a thing? This is a complete tangent to nothing else. But you ever have this feeling like your nose is bleeding backwards, and I just suddenly have gotten this taste of metal in my mouth, and I'm like, nothing's happening.
Yeah.
But it's just this weird. we're into winter now, so it's, everyone's noses are going to be affected by that.
We may get snow next week.
Yeah,
We'll keep you informed.
Yeah, so I was like, I taste copper. I should probably drink some water.
So what's up next?
I guess we had a character arc for Lytton.
Yeah.
I guess. It was either a character arc or he's doing the best he can to survive, but I mean, that was interesting. It was at least a good moment for the Doctor at the end where, he did misjudge Lytton and, even when he was dead, he wanted to save him. So that's a good, again, like, this is such a better beginning episode to tell you, like, it's okay. He's still the Doctor, a little more eccentric than usual, which is weird, but it's still him. So that was at least good.
Yeah. Now the thing, though, the one thing about the Doctor saying, I wish I would have, gotten to know him better. The problem is Lytton didn't allow the Doctor to understand his plan.
Yeah, it wasn't really on the Doctor for that because he didn't know everything, He
didn't have all the information he needed.
Yeah, so... we did also get the Sonic Lance in this episode. Which, man, I can't be buying stuff right now. It's after Christmas. I can't be buying things. So there's the Sonic Lance. The 14th Doctor got his own sonic screwdriver. Now the 15th Doctor got his own weird sonic screwdriver. And I just can't deal with all of these things. Especially the 15th Doctor's. You probably haven't seen it, but it is so much different than anything else. It's almost like a tricorder. Like it's thick and it's circular and it's weird. I don't know where I'm gonna put it. I don't think I got money for it, so and especially I don't know how long this Sonic Lance is. Granted, he lost the Sonic Lance in this episode.
Yeah. Don't you have a tricorder, or is that one of your brothers?
No, I don't think I have one.
Because I know at some point you guys had a badge, the United Federation of Planets badge. You had phasers, and one of you had a tricorder.
Maybe. It wasn't me, so. But yeah, so I don't know. I don't know if I can get all of these things. I'm going to at least wait and see if the Sonic Lance pops back up again. I don't even know. Do they have the Sonic Lance, like, on Amazon? Now I'm going to have to check. It's probably like $500 or something. Doctor Who Sonic Lance. This isn't even getting into once the Master starts getting his own sonic laser screwdriver. That's not for a while, though. Alright, I don't see it. Therefore, I don't have to buy it. So, I don't know. I haven't bought a sonic screwdriver in a while. Pretty much since we got the Fourth Doctor's, which still works. In fact, how many of these do still work? That one works. That one works. That one works. Barely. No. Well, the light works. These are a mess.
And your TARDIS still works, doesn't it?
Yes, it does. I'd let that play, but it would go on for like 4 minutes, so... You got anything else on this?
I got nothing.
Alright. Next up, we are rewatching Vengeance on Varos. I don't remember a thing about this episode.
No.
But I'm curious. I'm curious to get back to it, because I don't remember having any sort of opinion on this episode either way. It would just sort of... Well, I remember... when we were doing the tour, we were in the back half of the tour. We had just come off of Kinda. That was a whole thing. We were not going to go into that. And then we watched Vengeance on Varos, and I think it was just... Yeah, it was alright. So we didn't really have too strong of an opinion. And then we got to Remembrance of the Daleks, which was really good. Yeah. So yeah, I'm curious, honestly, because I just genuinely don't remember this episode. I'm curious to get back to it. Yeah. So that is basically it. With all of that being said, we're Alex and Dad from 7th Hour Films, and we will see you guys next time. Take care. Alright guys, thanks for watching this video. There's a bunch of links on screen if you want to go click around any of those. There's a playlist with all of our Doctor Who classic reactions, as well as another playlist for all of my modern Doctor Who reactions if you want to go check that out. There's also a subscribe button and a Patreon button on screen, as well as other links in the description if you want to go check out any of those. See you guys later.